So I'm sure you can tell the difference. This is the fusible interfacing magic applique. This is the hand sewn applique. You can go around the edge with your sewing machine if you like for machine applique. This technique, needle turn applique, you draw on the front of the fabric and you're going to cut it out about 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch larger. Then we're going to turn it over and we're going to glue in 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch from the edge. Then we're going to put that down on our fabric. Then we're going to come back tomorrow and I'm going to show you how to do the needle turn. But for you, that'll be in 2 minutes, so stay tuned. Here's my drawn hand, and I've gone ahead and put it on the light table so that I traced it on both sides. So this is the back side. And when I sew this, it's going to be glued down, and then I'm going to take my toothpick or my shish kebab skewer or whatever, and I'm going to turn the edge under. So when I glue it, I don't want to glue it on the line because that's where I'm folding fabric under. So I want to come off about 1/4 of an inch so that I am able to fold this over and then sew it. Somebody gave me this product, Aleene's Fabric Fusion. I have to be honest with you, I've never used it. And gee, I sure hope it works. I'm going to come off about 1/4 of an inch. Matter of fact, for these fingers, I could probably just go right down the middle, and I think I will. In the past, I've used I actually think it was a glue I bought when I was in Hawaii for Hawaiian applique. Now I'm going to turn this over. Oh man, I dropped it. Aren't you proud of my restraint? There was no cussing. Okay, so maybe I just try to grab it like this. Just want to make sure I get it in about the right spot. That actually looks pretty good. A little bit crooked, but that's about 2 fingers. It's good enough. Okay. Then we're going to let this dry overnight, and tomorrow so I'm just kind of burnishing it. And tomorrow we come in and we turn with a toothpick. Okay, so it's the next morning. I've given this overnight to dry. Actually, I didn't even read the directions. I don't know how long it needs to set up, and I don't even see it on here. So you could Google this to get some information. But it seems like it stuck really, really well. I'm very happy with it. So I'm going to use the same thread I was using yesterday, this Mettler's, just kind of a lime green. And I want to come up from the back, and I've already made my knot, so I'm just going to come up from the back and, well, not a bad idea when you use this glue to put it on, maybe on a parchment paper or a wax paper, so that it doesn't stick. I didn't think about that yesterday, okay? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start at the bottom, and it seems like I got a little bit close right here. It's pretty permanent, but I think it'll let me pull up a little. Alright, so all we're going to do is we're going to turn this under, and I know it's going to be hard to see until I get going here. we're going to turn that under, and I'm just going to kind of finger press that to hold it in place. And then I'm just going to bring my needle as close. I'm just going to bring my needle up and let that knot catch. And again, we're doing that blind hem stitch, I guess it's called. It's also called an applique stitch. So we're trying to hide our stitches as best we can. So here we go. I have done the little finger pressing, and that's kept this down really, really well. So you really want to try to catch it as close to the edge as possible. And I'm just going to keep turning the fabric. Okay, so I finger pressed, and I'm just coming. Now when we start going up the hands, we will start turning with our needle, but because I knew I had this big long area at the bottom, I wanted to start with the easy. Okay, so everybody can see what I'm doing. I'm just coming up from behind, and I'm going way underneath here. So when I say way underneath, you know, it's not that far underneath, but I'm trying to hide my stitches. Okay, and I got a little bit of raw edge there, so okay, pushing, going underneath, and coming up. It's important that you don't cut your thread too long, because you really don't want to deal with knots. Okay, I'm here on this line now, so I'm going to turn my fabric, and you can use your needle to try to just tuck this fabric under. Okay, and oftentimes your needle will do the trick. I'm thinking that maybe I should have just marked on the back of the fabric, because if I don't do a really good job of turning, I'm going to see that line, and that's going to make me nuts. So you guys think about that. You may, if you're going to try this, you may want to use a pencil that's a little bit lighter, or you may just want to mark on the back of your fabric so that you're not bringing your line forward. All right, and I have a little bit of a bump right there that I'm just going to push in with my stick. Okay, and then I'm going to try to catch where I go under. I'm going to try to catch that right there and make sure that it's not going to allow it to pop back up. Okay, again, I'm using these sharps, these needles. They're a little bit pliable. They have a little bit of a bend to them, which I really love. And yeah, I'm going to see that black outline, and I don't think I care. But just to warn you guys, you may want to use a pencil, or, you know, maybe don't use a Sharpie like Chris did, okay? So you can be working from this side with your wooden tool, whatever you choose to use, and then the right side with your needle. I'm all thumbs today. I just put on a pot of coffee. I don't know if you can hear it. All right, and I'm going to just quit talking here and let you guys watch. Okay. All right, I am unhappy with that. That is a bad stitch. Can you see it? It's not hidden, and you're going to be able to see it. It looks like a big basting stitch. Guess what? I'm just going to take it out of the needle, and on the repercussions, the punishment, is that you're going to have to rethread your needle. So if you do a stitch and you're not happy with it, you know, you want to visually inspect every stitch. I just remembered one of the things that I really liked about using that orange stick that I was telling you, you know, when you do a manicure, is that it's a great way. You use that to press down your fabric, so it's kind of like doing a finger pressing, and it, you know, it has that little angle, like that little wedge, and it in their finger press. So anyway, just want to share that with you. The other thing is that when you're doing the needle turn applique, you really want to make sure you go underneath, and you want to do small stitches. You don't want to do long like we did with the basting stitches. You want to do really small stitches. Sometimes it helps if you rotate that stick. It just, the fabric kind of catches onto it, and it, as it rolls, it kind of pushes it under a little. I also like holding the panel in my hand rather than leaving it lay flat, but sometimes you do have to leave it lay flat while you're rolling your edge under. Another thing I didn't bring with me today, but I really, when I do the needle turn applique or when I do hand applique, I really like to use the neutral silk threads. They're really, really thin, and the colors are very neutral. They blend really well. So I'll try to remember to bring those in tomorrow so I can show you guys in the video. So again, I'm just going to take my stick and I'm going to roll that stick. It's not going under. There we go. That went under a little better. Okay. And you know, get a good chunk of it. See if you can get it under there. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes you need to lay it down. Alright, and then you can use the back of your stick. You can use your finger just to do a little bit of a finger press, and that just helps to hold your fabric down. I'm going to finish this hand, and then I will show you guys how it looks. I'm almost finished with this hand, but I just wanted to share with you, as you're coming up on a curve, don't start turning your fabric once you get into the curve. I have a little bit of room still to go. I'm right here, and I'm going to start rolling this fabric down, and I'm kind of start at the top, and then I'm going to come in and start to roll it at the side. And when I say roll it, I am kind of sticking the point on that fabric and spinning my skewer. So let's see if I can do it better with the toothpick. Okay, so I have it under there. I feel like it's under there pretty well. I'm going to secure these stitches down, and I'm going to hold that point with my hand so it can't get away from me. It also helps to kind of pull on the fabric up. There's kind of a sweet spot between too loose and pulling too tight. You can see I have a couple of puckers. I tend to pull too tight because I'm always so intense about everything. But when you iron it, it will help it. It'll help it relax a little bit. Alright, so I'm coming up to that point, and I'm just going to make sure I catch it. And then the other thing you can do is you can always insert your needle into a point. Like if you've got a little bitty peak, you can kind of insert your needle into that peak, and as you drag it under, it'll drag the peak with it. Okay, so here I am at the top. I'm going to go ahead and fold, and I'm really kind of right at the edge of the fabric as I start to fold that under. So you can see there's a little tiny bit of a peak right there. It's a little tiny bit of a point. So I'm just going to keep working that with my tool, and then I'll keep my hand over it so that it can't pop up on me, and then I try to catch that peak with the needle, so that now when I go back under, I'm literally right on that peak, and it'll help force that under. But before I do that, I want to be ready over here. So I'm going to go ahead, have my toothpick on the end of my fabric. You could also be using your needle. You don't have to be using the toothpick. I just find it's a little bit easier. I do have a little bit of a peak right there. You can kind of see it. I'm going to go ahead and press this down. And as I come up around here, I'm going to put the needle into that one peak. So see how I did that? So I had a little peak there. I'm going to put the needle into that peak and bring it through to the back. Then I'm going to come up to the top. Okay? And when I pull it, it will it'll kind of suck that fabric underneath. Now there's a little bit of a peak right here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to insert the needle. Whoops, I have to have somewhere to go. So I have to get this ready to accept it right here. So I'm just going to take this and pull it under. And I want to go a little bit further. Alright, there we go. Now I'm going to take the back of this, just press it down. You can also use your finger. So now where I have that little bit of a peak, I'm going to kind of insert the needle into that peak, and then I'm going to bring it back and up, and then when I pull on that, it pulls that peak inside. Okay? Can we hear you? Can you hear her? She's working on a new project. It's the facial expressions I wish you guys could see. I hope the facial expressions will be in the video. It's a work, huh? There we go. It's a work in process. You know, there's some wonderful pins on the market that are, they're called Marks Be Gone, and when you hit them with water, the lines disappear, or if you hit them with an iron. They have heat sensitive ones and they have water sensitive ones. The water sensitive are called Marks Be Gone. Those are wonderful. I marked a whole quilt in a Marks Be Gone one time, and I went out of town, and when I came home, Garrett had decided to take the spray bottle and spray it all off for me. He was trying to help me with my quilt. I could have killed him. I think he was about 4. I was in tears. Yeah. Poor kid. He survived, though. I remember also one time he tried to help me with my quilt markings on another time on a quilt, and he instead of using a Marks Be Gone, he used one of his Crayola markers, and it was not the washable kind, and I ended up with oh yeah, that was another exciting time. So yeah, Garrett, he was a little helper, always helping Mom, always helping Mom. Okay, there we go. All right, so there's my hand. I'm going to take this back to the back and just tie it off, take it to the iron, and we'll be done. So here are the 4 examples finished. The machine applique. This one was the one we basted. This one is the one that we use the interfacing, and that one is the needle turn. So you'll have to decide which one you like the best. I will tell you, the needle turn took about an hour and a half. The one that I basted and sewed might have taken an hour. And then these guys go pretty fast. If you're using the fusible interfacing and then sew around it, these go very, very fast. Personally, I'm partial to the needle turn. That's it. Okay, let's have questions.